Welcome back to the arena. I am Michael Corrin, allegedly. Every Monday we have Moral Maze, where we sit around and moan about the world coming to an end or something like that. But matters are cheered up no end by Tanya Granic from Campaign Life. She's here now, and she ran here from the doctor. That's how dedicated she is to the cause of morality.
Yes, love seeing you and the show, Michael.
That'll do. U.S. Senator calls for end on ban against gays donating blood. Now, this is understandably initially because gay men during the AIDS crisis, one of the possible high-risk individuals, but that was quite a long time ago.
Yeah, both Canada and the U.S. instituted this ban against homosexually active men donating blood in 1977. Canada changed its rule to say, okay, anybody who's had a homosexual relationship in the last 5 years. In 2013, they've changed this. Yeah. Now America is looking to do something similar, and they're suggesting a one-year ban. So you cannot donate blood if you've had a homosexual relationship within the past year.
You have a problem with that? Is that good or bad? Or?
Well, you know what? There have been people who are HIV/AIDS activists who've come out against this. My whole thing is, well, because it's a liability. See, within this group, up to 20% of homosexual men are infected with HIV/AIDS, which is something like 20 times more higher than any other group. So it becomes more of an issue of liability. Like, we're still thinking back to like the hepatitis C scandal here in Canada and the tainted blood scandal. And you know, when Canadian Blood Services looks to who would be an ideal donor, they do have to have some precautions.
They test the blood, surely.
Well, they do test the blood, and that's something that's, I think, is the most important thing to do, is to test it and have the right precautions. However, if they feel that extra precautions should be taken for whatever reason, I think that's significant. And again, they're not saying no homosexual men at all. They're saying, okay, not within the last year. Or in Canada within the last 5 years. And to me, this sort of sounds like something like an auto insurance company does. You know, they insure young men and women. Well, why are the rates higher for auto insurance rates higher for young men versus young women?
All right.
Because it's a liability.
Continuing the gay issue, the Olympics, countries that I assume won't allow same-sex marriage or are anti-gay will not be able to host the Olympics. Well, would you feel comfortable, a country like Russia, holding Olympic Games and gay people being frightened, gay athletes, gay spectators, gay people being frightened of walking the street? Well,
I don't think any kind of country should intimidate people, period. However, you know, I'd like to make it clear that the policy in Russia was very clear that they abhorred the propagandization of homosexuality, not the act itself during the Olympics. And they were very clear, and Putin came out over and over again. Now, whether...
Yeah, gay people are also beaten up in Russia.
Well, whatever, well, the things may have happened, but according to the law,
Peter
that was the letter
the gay activist, has brain damage, and I think lost some of his hearing because he was beaten up by the police at a gay protest. I mean, let's be realistic.
No, I appreciate what you're saying, but, you know, I don't understand why it has to always be the homosexual issue as the paramount human rights issue. Like, I was disturbed when Beijing in 2008 hosted the Olympics, and there are crazy amounts of human rights atrocities. Sure. And people complain, nothing was done.
Oh, I agree with you.
Nothing was done. Why on this issue alone? And again, you know, I think the Olympics is not a political organization. This is not the United Nations. To get all the countries of the world to agree on such very divisive political issues is near impossible. I think we should keep the Olympics, you know, an honorable event where it's just celebrating sport.
Like Berlin in 1936.
Well, you know, again, you're going to come to clashes. Where do you draw the line? Do you draw the line on, you know, female genital mutilation? No country who does that hosts it.
Certainly.
How about religious discrimination?
I agree.
Do you say Egypt can never then host the Olympics?
I would.
Maybe that would be the case.
Well, the World Cup, Qatar, I mean, there are lots of questions to be asked here. Right. I mean, if someone, because of their religion or their sexuality or their gender or their race, is not allowed full respect and participation, I say that country should never hold the Olympics.
Yeah, but Michael, I don't think there is a country in the world that would actually meet everybody's standard.
Canada.
Some people would argue Canada has very bad human rights laws because they don't do enough for transsexuals. Where's the line drawn?
I don't think I don't think anyone would draw a line there. I think it's pretty obvious that some countries, and I would include Russia in that. I mean, some countries are so blatant in their human rights abuses, but I would agree with you, there shouldn't be one standard for one group and a different one for the other.
Which I think there exists, and I don't think the organizations like the Olympics should really wade into this. I think the Olympics could perhaps be an opportunity to really expand and educate these countries on how, you know, proper behavior ought to be done. That makes no sense.
No, but it does make sense. It just concerns me that what we're saying is turn a blind eye to a human rights abuse. You know,
I don't think we should. I just don't think the Olympics is the proper vehicle for. It's
a World Games. All people, irrespective of what they are and who they are, should be allowed to compete.
Which they currently are everywhere in the world. Homosexual athletes are allowed to compete anywhere in the world.
Yes, but a gay athlete in Russia, for example, walking around hand in hand with his partner might find that he's physically attacked on the street, that certain stores he's not allowed into, and in other countries too. Frankly, those other countries often will not have the money to host the Olympics. But this is shocking news to me. Circuit Court upholds law requiring porn actors to wear condoms.
Yes.
I thought that was a show where the bald guy sold things in Las Vegas, but this is pornography.
Okay, so
there's a law?
There's a law because you have to understand with porn actors, they have 10 times the rate of normal people of STD incidents.
Hardly surprising.
It's not surprising. So, you know, the Los Angeles Health County is saying, come on, we've got to crack down. We must... porn actors must wear condoms. Do I think this is helping? No. In fact, the porn filming permits have dropped in that jurisdiction from 485 to 40 in 2 years.
That's terrible.
So they've moved their business elsewhere where the laws are less restrictive. Apparently, porn actors don't want to wear condoms.
Well, I would think it wasn't so much the actors. I would think it was the viewers of it who probably don't want them. I mean, I'm not an expert. I'm not claiming to be one. I want to emphasize that. But that's probably what it is. But in that this is going to exist, whatever happens, and it's not desirable, but it does exist, you want to protect the people involved. And I think generally it will be the women more than the men. And so if that was the law, but you're never going to enforce the law because this industry by its nature, some of it's legal, but some of it's not, and some of it's semi-legal and so on. So
the whole thing is quite disturbing. I mean, again, I've said this before, I don't agree with porn, period.
I know. Our disagreement is you want to criminalize it, don't you?
I think I think it ought to be illegal because I think it ultimately is using and manipulating people into things that's inappropriate.
Of course it is.
I believe in people's free will, and I know it's a slippery slope. I really do, but I just do not see any kind of benefit coming out of porn, especially when you see studies now saying that it's potential addiction and it's rampant in society.
There is none. I agree with you on all of that, but I don't think you criminalize. And there are lots of things that there's nothing good in it, and it does actually. Or you
criminalize the making and production of it and distribution.
I'd give them a hard time. I hope there's no puns here, but I would. Oh God, I should shut up. But no, I think once you criminalize, you're imposing a certain view. You're criminalizing an entire section of society. And if you really think the police can now spend their time, I mean, do you know how much porn there is on the internet?
Oh, there's tons.
So I mean,
it's disturbing, and I think it's just going to increase.
Don't look at it.
We need Well, yeah, you try not to, but you know what? I'm terrified to ever let my child near a computer. I put all the filters, but they always seem to be able to. You never know.
I wish I had more time on this. I have to tell you, we've raised 4 kids. Only once, accidentally, did they see something, and it wasn't that bad a picture when they'd gone to search something totally innocuous. It's not that easy. That might be the excuse your teenage son will offer you.
Oh, God.
I was researching the Franco-Prussian War. I didn't know. But maybe. Anyway, hey, have a great Christmas. Always a pleasure. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much.